So for this meditation, I wanted to do the dishes with mindfulness. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually set a timer on my microwave. For 10 minutes to keep us kind of in a short practice today. And I'm just going to take some deep breaths and assess the pile that's here. So I want to note any feelings that come up when I see this pile. You could feel a bit overwhelmed if it's a large pile, and in that case, definitely set a 10-minute timer and really try and stick to it. Or maybe you could feel some not so great thoughts towards other people in your house if they're, the mess was caused by someone else. Or on the positive side, I like to kind of take note of what they represent. So sometimes it's a good dinner I might have had last night, or a nice snack I had during the day. So the first thing I kind of want to do is clear some space for the clean ones. And I'm just going to go ahead and start putting stuff away. And I want to keep track of how my body feels while I do this. So I'm going to keep track of my posture, make sure I'm bending at the waist to keep my back healthy as I do this. And any other good habits like that are good to keep in mind. If you are also feeling overwhelmed with the amount of dirty dishes, something I do sometimes is I don't clear everything off the rack, because then that means I have a natural stopping point of when the rack is full. And that's just a really simple way to make sure you're not overdoing anything. So now that that's clear, I'm going to start filling up with the water. And since I don't want to try talking over water, I'm just going to mention ahead that what I'm going to do as it's filling is note the water temperature and how that feels, and also how the soap feels on my hands and dishes as I work a little bit. So really want to take note of the temperature going from cool to warmer, and when it gets pleasant or if it strays into unpleasant. That's enough wash water for me to work with. So you can keep your mind anchored in the present moment through your sensations of what you're feeling in terms of the water you're using, whatever cleaning tool you're using, like the sponge or this little doodad I've got. You can also monitor feelings of if you run your hands over to check that there's no detritus remaining and just feel that surface of the dish that you're using. I also like sometimes to think a little bit more from the dish's perspective than from my perspective. This can really help to make this a more relaxing but also pleasant feeling activity, is thinking of these dishes as if they're getting a nice bath or shower and they feel clean. I know the dishes don't actually feel anything, don't worry, but it's just a nice way to kind of project from the perspective of the person doing the thing, which involves some effort and labor, to the thing getting something done to it, which feels more effective and like something good maybe is even happening. Do another little posture check there. And there's one pan here that's really gunky, and I'm gonna let it soak because I think that's about enough. Maybe I'll get this one more guy in because I'm sure my timer is going to be beeping any moment now. I don't want to leave myself with no time to rinse things off. Whoop. I can be a splashy dishwasher, but I can also be a crashy dishwasher. So splashy is the better option. There we are. Now I have a nice neat pile of dishes, and most importantly, my little tea mug is ready for another cup of tea. And my timer still even has a minute left on it. So, you know what? Since we're doing it, maybe I will tackle this guy. Now that we're here, even if I don't get him all the way done by the time that goes off, I'll get something done. And this is another kind of important Zen lesson when doing something like these dishes, maybe, that it doesn't always have to be goal-oriented. Or finish line oriented, let's say. Sometimes you can just do something to make whatever difference you can in the time that you have. Because the only bad practice is the one you didn't do, right? So I'll give this a couple more scrubs. You can continue your practice past the 10 minutes if you like. Or, to keep it nice and short, you can leave off at any point you feel that you've done enough. There we go. Thank you for joining me. I'll get that later. And I hope you enjoyed this Zen dish session. So for the art part, I have this butterfly drawing that I'm going to be coloring in. I'll start my hourglasses for that. Of course, I have my palette picked out as usual. And we'll start with this gold color that's gonna match some of the gold that I'm gonna use later. I did already lay out everything for the crafting section this time because I just really liked this design and I really want to explore it, so got a little overexcited. Actually want that to be orange. I usually just try and pull colors from some of the crafting things that I want to put in so that everything's nice and cohesive. But it's also fun to just go the other way and pick whatever colors draw your eye. Unfortunately with me, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, it usually ends up being rainbows because I seem to just like creating those over and over. There are worse things to be creating over and over though. As with some other designs I've done, this butterfly has a lot of complex little parts. So what I'm really going to try and focus on is just outlining some very big areas. And then works to the smaller ones. By doing that, I can also try and keep this design sort of clean, which will tie into that spring cleaning theme. Didn't do a very clean line there. Oh well. I could try and erase it, but sometimes that can muddy things up a little bit more. I think the cleanest designs or pieces of art are usually ones that manage to keep things sort of simple. There's something simple about, because there's something very clean about simplicity in art, which is why minimalism seems to be the movement of cleanliness in art. problem with clean designs or art, I find, is the perfectionist mind can get quite active if that's what you're trying to do. And find that thinking process, despite its intentions, can muddy things up by trying to make things fit an ideal which may not be very realistic. Well, I really want another set of circles here, and I'm just going to stick it in. So there's something about that break in continuity that I'm not crazy about. Maybe it's because I'm thinking about how I'm going to color this in later. I kind of want to create some rows here of colors, so that would break up my row. I'll do the rest in purple here. And save those sort of triangular shapes for the darker purple. It's easy to get tunnel visioned into details when you're working on pieces that have a lot of details like this. So, good mindfulness practice in art can be to try and take a look at a larger area when you're working, and maybe even work a little bit from one side to another, like I just did with a couple of those loops, where instead of just getting tunneled in on the one spot, I kind of took a look at where they were going to end up finishing off. And you can also do this kind of on a wider scale too. If I want to come out, say, to here and find what I tend to call the kind of leading edge of a section. So that's sort of what I'm defining here with these loops. Because now I know exactly where all this purple is going to go, and I can just now fill to that leading edge without worrying about going outside of the area that I wanted to fill in with this color. don't know if I'm going to get time to fill in with pencil in this 10 minutes. That's okay. I'm glad I've sort of defined all the areas that I want to define. It means that if I want to come back later to it, I can do so a lot more easily, because I sort of have a plan. So that'll make this very relaxing and enjoyable to do after work. Maybe as a little work break. Sometimes it can be nice to take little breaks during the workday, like that. So just finish up a couple of these little guys. But since I'm over the 10 minutes, I'm going to actually move on to my prompt area now, because I'm going to be using the same colors. And if I want to come back and fill in a little bit of stuff, I might do that as I go. But first, I'm just going to start filling over this font to practice it a little and hopefully guide my writing later to be a little less chicken scratchy than it's liable to be. So let's see. Of 6 colors total, so I'm going to skip 5. So I like to disperse my colors sometimes like this. So the prompt today is create a spring cleaning list. What needs clearing out in your home? How about your mental or emotional headspace? Do you have any favorite scents you'd like to use to freshen things up? I'll let my head wander over that question a little bit. There's different ways you can sort of think of this. You can think of the rooms in your house, and that's a very easy way to create a spring cleaning list, since we all have areas that need freshening up, and areas within areas in our homes. You can also do the Marie Kondo method and think of categories of things, like if you have too many clothes or books or papers piling up. And to tie this to the emotional and mental spaces, it can also help if you're thinking of categories or rooms to think of trying to become aware of your own internal reactions when you're thinking of different rooms or spaces or objects in your home, because that might help point to what you need to clear up or do a little tidying with. Our outer worlds, especially our homes, can reflect our inner worlds very quickly, and can give you a clue or a hint as to what you might want to do some freshening up with. So I'm at my halfway point in this, and I wanted to go grab a little something because I just had an idea that I think would be really fun to use. So, just gonna finish the last bits of this font here. Oh, apparently I couldn't count here. Oh no, I just skipped it with the light green. Silly me. Okay, well, this will have to do for now. Before I move on to the next part. Now, the little idea I had was to grab some of these post-it notes, because what I'm going to start to do, what I'm going to do to start answering this is I'm going to just write out the spaces in my home from top to bottom. So, bedroom, and post the kitchen, it's really closet and crawl space, so storage space. All right, so I have, bedroom, my little home office. My partner has an area too that he works in, but I'm not going to touch that. And then we have bathrooms, living room, kitchen, and that storage space. And I'm going to also kind of think of like the main stuff that's in there are clothes. For my home office, there's a lot, but so books, art and craft supplies, electronics. Bathroom has, I'm just going to call it cleaning stuff. There's a big catch-all. The living room has more books, but also some movies, because I still have a pile of DVDs. And I'm just going to throw knickknacks in there. Oh, and all my plants, which I just feel like doing that in green, so I'm going to. And then the kitchen has kitchen stuff. So, yeah, the usual. Pots, pans, and dishes, utensils. And then the closet and crawl space has other winter clothes, camping gear. All right, so I have a pretty good list of things, and kind of before bringing back some of that line of thinking from the cleaning meditation we did earlier, I think for these lists I want to make, I want to kind of think about going from room to room and how I want to clean these. So my bedroom doesn't need a ton of cleaning, but I might do a clothes culling, maybe a vacuum, and a wipe down of some dustier surfaces. I'm just going to stick that over here, because my idea is that what I can do is grab these little things and use them when I'm going through and cleaning all this stuff. So my home office definitely needs a art and craft supplies, culling, and also papers. Forgot to put that on my little list here, but I was just reminded of it. And electronics. So I need to cull all those things. And also a vacuum and wipe down. I think that's, oh, and maybe a digital files organization. So I have a few things I want to clean up. Whoop. Ugh, that glue's kind of weird. And then in the bathroom, I think that's mainly just going to be a wipe down. So and clear any bottles that I find and don't want to have them in there anymore. And for my living room, I'm thinking maybe just a vacuum and wipe down. Oh, and I did want to do some plant reorganizing. So that might have to happen. Let's see, the kitchen, honestly, I think just needs a little wipe down too. Because we did a very big culling. Oh, but our spice rack needs some culling. That was the one spot we didn't get to. So my partner and I can attack that. And then finally for the closet and crawl space, I think that stuff maybe just needs a little closed culling on my part, but yeah, I think that's a good cleaning list. And I'm going to move on now to stick in some of these things that I'd already laid out for this fairly simple crafting section today. I use ticky-tacky when I'm doing this so that I can kind of place things around, and then once I see something I like, I just stick it down, and then I can actually stick it later. But I got a little ahead of myself with some of my crafting lately, because sometimes what I like to do, because I'm a planner, is I'll kind of look for stuff that I can stick in. If you can see on some of these previous pages where I've gone in and stuck in some other stuff, just because, I don't know, I think it's fun to do that. It might be my OCD, but, or I shouldn't use that term, it might be my more persnickety side, or hyper-organized side acting up when I do something like that. But I think to keep that side from getting overwhelming or letting myself overdo that, it helps if I find ways to let it out in small bursts. So this journal is actually a great way for me to channel some of my more hyper organized energy into something. And that way it doesn't bother other people in my home, or work would be hard, but yeah, or friends, God forbid. So I might end up covering knickknacks and cleaning stuff. Oh well. I know what it is. Kind of try and mimic these butterflies with my big old butterfly here. But I also have not within easy reach. I also have these butterfly stickers on this roll. I want to get some of those guys in here, so roll that out. Kind of like to have them coming off of flowers, as if they're flying away after having just visited. I do like to use them sometimes too along some of these edges to sort of make them a little bit more flush with the page. Sort of use them as a glue because there's all kinds of different little patterns in the sticker. Some of them are just little sort of stars, sparkles, and it's a fun way to reinforce my cheap craft glue without having to always resort to tape, which can sometimes cloud some designs. Usually it shows up pretty clear, but why not use something that has some sparkly stuff on it, right? Do a little chain up this side. Maybe one here too. There's this really pretty sort of chain of them. I wonder if I can fit in some nice spot. Maybe I'll put one of these right here on this butterfly, so it has a little butterfly coming off it on a little chain. And I'll just stick down one more of these here, so I have a nice chain of them down the side. I'm pretty happy with that. So I have my art that I can return to and fill in a couple more areas throughout the day while I'm working, and maybe color in with some pencils since I already have that area planned out. I have my font filled in and my prompt answered with some of these areas of my house that I can now take these stickers off and Post-its off and bring them to that room and actually use that as little reminders, and that way I can get rid of this cleaning list as I go and complete things. And I have my very simple collage. So I hope you enjoyed joining me today for this spring cleaning list inspired prompt, and I hope you join me again.